Beginning of ghost hunting, long before we carried recorders or thermal cameras, investigators were chasing more than shadows. They were chasing voices, that faint response we can't hear with the naked ear. Words that hide between frequencies waiting to be found. You see, my friends, through history, countless explorers of the unknown have believed that sound itself can cross the divine. That energy, pure thought, emotion, every memory might imprint itself into the air. And so they built radios, wires, microphones, and coils of copper, each one invitation whispered in the dark. If you can hear us, please answer. Sometimes it answers, sometimes it screams, and sometimes it simply says nothing at all until the playback begins. One such story was told to me and it stuck with me, not because of its scare factor, but because of the simplicity. It happened in a small, unforgotten town between Missouri and Illinois. One of those places you pass through and forget. A couple had just moved into an old farmhouse. Every night around 3 a.m., the dogs would wake them, barking at a single corner of the living room. No footsteps, no drafts, just the strange heaviness that something settling when something unseen is watching, and the voices inside you tells you that something is not right. After a few weeks of interrupted sleep, this couple looking for peace in their new home, desperate for normalcy, had an unconventional idea. So, with a recorder in hand one night, they asked the air, "Is someone here with us?" The house stayed silent. But when they pressed play, a low metallic whisper came through the static, unmistakable, and in disbelief, they heard, "Why am I still here?" That, my friends, is the essence of EVP. The electric voice phenomenon, voices we cannot hear in the moment, yet somehow the microphone can. And if the universe itself is keeping its own set of memories, and even every so often it plays one back. Welcome, my friends, to Darkwoods Paranormal, brought to you by Unbox Media LLC. I'm your host, Gabriel Von Graves, and tonight we listen for the whispers between worlds. And walking these shadows beside me, as always, is my producer, Raven Knight, my partner in mystery, in madness, and in the pursuit of the unknown. Good evening, Raven.
Good evening.
Tonight, we have the honor of welcoming a man who has dedicated his life to decoding those whispers. A veteran investigator, radio host, author, and founder of EVP Explorations, Todd Bates. His work bridges science and spirit, skepticism and belief, offering a place where anyone brave enough to listen can learn the language of the unseen. So settle in, turn up those headphones, because somewhere in the static, someone might just be waiting to speak. This is Darkwoods Paranormal. And let's welcome our guest, Todd Bates, to the show. Welcome, Todd. Thank you for joining us.
Wow, guys. Wow, what an intro, man. That was awesome.
What a guest we have.
Holy cow. No, that was
Yes,
really
we have
cool
great.
because, EVP is that mysterious. It really is.
It is.
It's bone chilling. Oh my goodness, the stories. Oh, we're going to have fun.
Well, let's do it. Let's have some fun.
Oh, we're gonna. Hey, okay.
I tell you.
Welcome, Todd. As
Oh,
as Gabriel said.
it is. It's great to be here, guys. Thanks for having me so much. There's
Yeah, we're so excited that you're here.
oh, I'm very excited because it's EVP is a passion of mine. It always has been. It has been for decades. And I know there's several different facets to a paranormal investigation. You have photography, videography. You have the guy running the electromagnetic field meters, the different tech guys, and so forth. I was always and forever will be the EVP guy. I just there's something about him. I've tried photography, and it all started with a ghost tour so many years ago. A ghost tour And I went to an old barn. Everybody else went to the old general store. I kind of took the low road and went into this old barn by myself, climbed on top of a wood pile, put down a recorder, put down a microphone next to it, and started asking questions to thin air, just like you said, Gabriel, to thin air. Because I used to be a skeptic. Oh my goodness, it was so bad. So skeptical. It was so bad. And I don't even know if I believed in Santa Claus. It was terrible. I was raised Catholic. I was shielded from everything.
Right, right.
So as I grew, my mind grew. And I wanted to try this electronic voice phenomenon. I wanted to try this ghost tour. I had heard about it through an email. Back then, that's all we had. But I'd heard about it. And lo and behold, I asked a question, is there anyone here? And I didn't hear anything in that little barn at all. It was quiet, a little windy out. And then I play it back. And lo and behold, guys, I captured a horse of all things. It did that.
Sure.
It stomped its foot. It was very clear, very pronounced on that recorder, and that was on a cassette recorder. And that launched this obsession's a strong word. It launched this motivation to figure out how in the hell did I capture that on this recorder, but I did not hear that with the naked ear.
Hmm.
Now, that's going way back before the Radio Shack hacks, before all these ITC devices. See, everybody wants everything real time.
Right.
Mm-mm. And Sherry and I, my Sherry and I, we argue over this all the time between EVP and ITC. The only valid ITC method I've seen thus far is the Estes. That's probably the most controlled, most disciplined. The other one's just walking around a cemetery with the ghost box in hand. It's a little rough. It's a little rough. I can't swallow that just yet. Now, electronic voice phenomenon is different. It's nothing, it's under the same umbrella as ITC is. However, it's in its own little world because it's what it does. It captures disembodied voices on a recording device, like a digital or analog recorder, your phone, even different devices, and you're able to hear it when you play it back later. That's the beauty of it. Is you could sit there for hours, and then you analyze, and you're listening for hours, and you're shh. And I want to emphasize the breaks, folks. You've got to take these breaks. This pareidolia is going to set in. You're going to hear, oh my goodness, they're saying Frankie's going to die in the barn tonight. They're going to hear all kinds of stuff that makes no sense whatsoever.
Hmm.
And it's a craft. I feel it's something one has to develop over time, over experience. The more you capture, the better. Be careful what you wish for when you're doing some of these sessions.
Absolutely.
For sure.
But keep it simple. And I think, guys, in all honesty, I think us capturing these voices on these different devices, I think it's something extremely simple that we're overlooking, and we're complicating it so bad with quantum physics, with quantum this, with the different universes now. There's so many things that are latching into the paranormal and how it actually imprints. We don't know. I mean, if we go throwing science into the mix, it's not our job to prove it to them. They have enough pieces of equipment and knowledge to prove it to themselves if they want. They just don't want to take it seriously. They're letting us do the legwork for them. But it's not our job. You know, we're privileged if we can prove it to ourselves at one point. You
There's a
know,
lot of truth in there.
I mean, because
Absolutely.
what is it, guys? 98% can be just written off as meh. It's that 2%, that small percent. And you know, just a quick sidebar here, a quick story on how weirdly and unexpectedly this can happen. Back in 2009, I was on the Queen Mary waiting to speak at their conference there, the Ghost Fest.
Cool.
So I'm sitting there chilling out. I'm watching. I remember I'm laying in bed like this, watching a Colts game, just chilling out, watching a Colts game before I hop up there. Across the room, a little bellhop looking guy freaked me out. He was half solid, half floating, and I am getting ready to go speak on how to communicate with these types of individuals. And here goes one floating right across. It was a great first impression of that ship, I'll tell you that. I mean,
Hmm.
of course,
Sure.
it was residual, of course, but
Right.
my goodness, I mean, it was all I remember was the room electrifying
Hmm.
for that brief second in time. The room electrified, the hair stood up, even the little hair on my head stood up. It stood up, and I could just feel the presence of something.
Hmm.
Now, it wasn't intelligent. It didn't make eye contact. It didn't look at me or anything. It just went across the room, just as if it was walking down the hallway. It was so
Mhm.
strange. But it's instances like that. You never know when this is going to happen. So if you're doing an EVP session out there, the biggest issue that people have is discouragement. They are recording for hours on end and they get nothing.
Hmm.
That happens. Trust me. Oh my
Yeah, it
goodness.
does. Yeah, it does.
I think between the three of us, we've recorded for a few years and nothing's happened.
And you
You
get
know,
like one little snippet of something, within that little time frame.
a morsel.
We've talked about that. We've talked about that, like in investigations for sure. Like people don't realize, because like you're saying, everything seems immediate, right? So you watch people who are watching like those ghost shows, right? And they think that
Yeah.
things are happening. Oh, like this and this and this and this. But in all honesty, you could sit in a room for 8 hours and you have nothing happen,
Yep.
No.
and then maybe you get like that much of something, or you get, like maybe an EVP if you're
Yeah.
lucky.
If you're
Um,
lucky.
you know, if you're
If you're
lucky,
lucky.
is it?
And I think that's where the majority of the motivation comes from. Is you're sitting there for hours on end. But this is with EVP, folks. This isn't real time. This is called a delayed conversation.
Hmm.
So you're having a delayed conversation with spirit, which I feel is more clear, more credible. That's just my opinion. I'm old school.
I agree.
But
I agree with you though.
if you thank you, there's not many of us left. If there's
No,
if there's
I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
The
we
apps and stuff, if you like you I don't know, Todd. We can get into that like
oh
later, but I
yeah,
mean, I
but
don't
there's
love them. I don't think they're
the
credible.
simplicity of the whole thing. It really is easy. It really is quite simple. You simply purchase an analog or digital recorder. Digitals these days, they're a dime a dozen out there.
Hmm.
I mean, they're very inexpensive, and
Hmm.
I've even used and yielded great results with it using an external microphone with my digital as well. And it creates it's just you'll have to try it. It uses a different sample instead of the straight signal going into the recorder, so it's something different. And you simply ask questions to thin air. Basically, keep the questions simple. Don't sit there and have them explain their life story to you. It's not going to happen.
Hmm.
You're lucky if you're going to get a word out of there. But keep them simple and keep space in between the questions. At least 7 seconds or so in between the questions. Give them a minute. It's going to take some time, I'm sure, to generate whatever they're generating to do whatever they're doing
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
imprint. And keep trying. Keep taking those breaks when you're analyzing too, folks, because you will start to do it's called pareidolia. You'll hear something that's just not there, and reason being is especially if you're using analog recording like I do, you have that beautiful white noise of that magnetic tape running across that recording head, that shh. So you've got about a million frequencies within that noise that are
Hmm.
separate. It's just the brain can only process one at a time. So the brain just says, nah, we're going to call it shh, because it can't. And you can have that background is an excellent push for any captured voice that comes on there. I don't know if they latch on, if they imprint on one of those frequencies somehow. I've tried different experiments in the past, disconnecting the microphone even from the recorder is still captured voices on there. So there is some way they get onto the device itself.
Mhm.
Now, albeit it wasn't clear at all, wasn't very clear. It was probably a Class C at best, but it was imprinted. And I think somehow the microphone amplifies that kind of energy that whatever they're putting on there. Leaving the science out, it's something as natural as consciousness is, I believe. As natural as it is, we are awake. They are communicating. And it's some kind of easy method. I'm not saying I'm not saying telepathy is involved or anything of that nature, that like not even that we're a host to this, but somehow they use our vibration, our consciousness to imprint. That's the only thing I can come up with over all these years, because the rest of it to me makes no sense. Static energy, it's too weak of an energy for them to use to latch on. Magnetism, maybe still, but that's only for analog. That doesn't explain how they're captured on digital recorders. So then there's that throws that out the window. So that's the only thing I could think of how they get on there, is using some kind of vibration, some kind of energy, some kind of frequency around us to kind of just jump right in there.
That
But
makes sense.
some are more clear than others. I mean, I've had some captures. My favorite one, the biggest surprise to me, the biggest shock, was on an old train bridge in Vincennes, Indiana. And it was one of the old ones that turned the entire train, and it had passenger trains and things go through there. Well, I did a stationary session with an analog recorder and heard nothing. Nothing was really. We thought it was a pretty calm night. Packed everything up, went home, played the recording back. Sure as night, there was an old elderly woman saying hello. Oh my! And I'm just sitting here listening, concentrating, analyzing, and then out of nowhere, hello! It was plain as day, and no one was there. That was a stationary session, so we set it and forget it, unless somebody went in there and went hello. But
Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen with them, where or how. Some of them are going to be your Class C's. You've got your ways of measuring. The simplest way, ABC, A being the best, uh, C being more of your delicate whispers and so forth, Class B being one that you can maybe hear at the beginning and then you can't make out anything else. So
Sure.
that was developed by Sarah Wilson Estep back in the day. She was a preschool teacher, ABC, and it stuck like glue. I mean, the community adopted it. My producer and I are working on some changes with it because it has to be modified. There's too much technology that has happened. And I haven't tried this yet, guys. I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard of people analyzing their EVP with AI now?
I've heard of it. So that brings me to another question. Maybe we could just get off topic for a second.
Yeah.
When it comes to capturing EVPs, do you believe we get better or more consistent results using old school analog tape recording compared to modern digital recorders? There's that idea that the magnetic tape can actually hold energy, that a voice or emotion can literally imprint itself onto that medium. Do you think there's something to that?
I do. I do, and that's why I'm stuck with the old blue behind me that weighs about 20 pounds. I haven't figured it out yet. So until I figure it out, I'm going to continue to use it. So if it's not broken, I'm not going to try and fix it.
Right?
Now,
Yeah.
what I have learned to answer your question is I have gathered less EVP using analog, but the ones that I have captured, I mean, they're night and day. They're clear, they're pronounced, there's depth to them, there's sound to them, there's a background to them. And they're all displayed on my website, evpexplorations.com. They're all up there.
Yeah.
And each one is different. Each one has its own story. Now, with the digital recorder, I've captured far more, and there have been some good, a few Class A captures on a digital recorder. It's more rare, but they're there. And me personally, I would, I want to be buried with my recorder. I really do, because
Love that.
I'm gonna be using that thing when I'm over there. I have no doubt, and I'm gonna wonder where it's at. And now I'll know where it's at, because it's important knowing that, just in case, that may be my only communication device with you fine folks here. So we'll just have to see. I'm in no rush now. Don't get me wrong.
We're glad to hear that.
Yeah, just curious. But it
So
is.
we've
Go ahead, Missy.
no, I was gonna say we've said that before. Just being paranormal investigators slash researchers ourselves, you could have all of the tools in the world, right? You could have all of these high tech things, but we, Gabriel and myself, really believe that one of the biggest and most important tools is like how you feel. Like you can go into a space and the air changes and things are different, and like it's just that is like the rawest thing that you can get is
Yes.
your own stuff. So like even and like you were saying, there's nothing wrong with going old school. If it's not
No.
broke, why are we changing it?
No.
And I 100% agree with you. And I'm gonna get us canceled, Gabriel. There are a lot of people out there right now that are doing investigations that are using their phones. They're using
Yeah,
their phones
and
to
and
talk.
and they work, and they do. The voice recorder on the phone works beautifully.
Hmm.
It does
But I
work.
mean, they're using like the app. Like they're
Oh,
thinking they're talking
be
to
careful.
a, yeah, exactly. Like they think they're
Be
talking to
careful.
somebody via an app when realistically, like the best thing to do is to actually hear it
Yes,
yourself, you
yes.
know?
It
Yeah.
it it is. It is. Be careful. Those machines, like those apps, the uh, Oculus or
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Obulus, it
Hmm.
was
Yeah.
back in the day. That old guy. They have word banks in
Hmm.
them, and they pick and choose. Kind of. They can go by. It's. They just pick and choose by vibe. They pick and choose by random. They pick and choose by what words before that, and sometimes they'll throw them at you in an order that sounds like they're answering your question. Look at it this way. Look at it this way. Your smart TVs, for example.
Hmm.
Guys,
Mm-hmm.
how many times have you sat there and thought of, and said out loud to somebody in the room, "Oh my goodness, I have a headache. I need some Tylenol."
Yes. Yes.
Now, within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, what's playing in front of your face? A
Tylenol.
Mm-hmm.
Tylenol commercial.
Absolutely.
So these apps are very similar to that kind of technology. They know what's going to happen before it happens. They throw it in front of it to scare and entertain you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so you be careful with it when it comes to research. Apps, entertainment, research. It's not entertaining fun. It's in any way, shape, or form. Is research entertaining? Okay, it's
Right.
work, but it's enjoyable work. It's needed work.
Right.
Don't take the shortcut.
Absolutely.
Use the shortcut, experiment with it, take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt.
Now, that being said, I agree with Raven about the best instrument that at least I've ever used was myself, right?
Yeah.
Um, I I tell a story about 10 years ago, maybe 12, right around cell phones coming out. They had something, it was old technology called Ghost Radar, right? It would
Yep.
just spin around and say little words and stuff, and it was kind of fun. I was walking around in an old warehouse, and I stopped by a janitor's closet, and it's just picking up these little blips that oh, something's by me, and I'm just kind of having fun with it. And I do something you should never do in a janitor's closet. Is they had this liquid, and I was smelling it. You should never do that, right? And so I opened it up, right? I opened it up,
What's in this bottle?
right? Exactly. You should never do that. Ammonia. I
You
pass
just
out.
can't
It's
stop.
fine, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm unscrewing it and I smell it and I'm like, ooh. And then all of a sudden it says, smell good. And I stopped for a second. And I thought, huh, that was interesting. But then, 90% of it was incoherent, just stuff that didn't make sense. But
Yeah.
it could be circumstances. It could just be because of be, right? I mean, but
Yeah.
sometimes I've been around and it's interesting, but I think it's all programmable, like you said. I mean,
Hmm.
phrases, whatever, and it kind of just connected. But that was old technology, so
Yeah. The older technology, what they're doing with the new technology. Oh my goodness! Please, folks, be careful of some of these
yeah,
apps. My
right,
goodness, please.
right,
They are meant to scare you. That is
mm-hmm,
their full intent. They're not meant to educate. It's the
right,
ones there are some pretty good ones out there. They help you keep notes. They help you timestamp. They help you do all
mm-hmm,
kinds of things. Those are useful, very useful tools. And there's so many things you can do. We can do with our phones. Let's face it. Equipment's expensive. I'm a firm believer less is more. If all
absolutely,
I have at my time is that I'm there, if I'm in an old tour somewhere and they don't allow photographs, well, I've got my phone. I'm gonna hit the recorder maybe. You know, you're
gray
it's
area, sure,
yeah, gray
yeah,
area
yeah, yeah,
areas. It's important.
it is.
Sometimes all you have is your phone.
That's
So
right, that's right,
utilize these things. Use the voice memo. Use these different apps and so forth.
right,
Give it a shot. Communication's communication anyway.
true,
You slice it. That's why we're looking for it.
right. But at the same result, I lived on a houseboat. And I mention this sometimes. I lived on a houseboat in Minnesota, all year round. Right, it gets cold in the
Oh, yeah,
winter, minus
nice.
25. Loved every minute
Yeah.
of it. And at the marina that we were living at, everything was all frozen up. I stepped out of um, the boat to go to work. It was early in the morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I step out, and the boat cracks because ice is all around it. That's what happens in Minnesota in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
And I
Pretty
step in,
chilly.
yeah, very chilly. It's the kind of cold that when you breathe into your nose sticks closed, and you're like, whew, I love that stuff. It's coming soon, Raven. I know how much you hate winter,
No,
but it's coming.
how could you?
I because
How
it's
could you
true.
bring that up?
We don't lie to each
No,
other here. We just
I'm
don't
We
do
in
don't
that.
lie.
denial for 6 months out of the year. Okay, listen.
Okay,
I don't even think we get 6 months here. We get like three at best.
we do.
Minnesota.
Yes,
Yeah,
Well,
it's
Wisconsin, but I'm in
right.
that
denial. I'm in
yeah.
denial.
There's
You
not
know.
much greenery.
There isn't. So I step out of this boat, right? And and,
Right
and
before
it's
the parts.
frozen and the boat cracks and kind of moves like a little boat does, It was a smaller
Yeah.
boat that we lived in at the time. And I was walking through the slip and you have to be careful because it's ice, right? And I heard, I think he can hear us. And I heard it play as day because I stopped for a second, just a second before I heard it. And all of a sudden the cold went away and I felt warm, right? And I heard, I
Ooh.
think he can hear us. And there was no other boats. It was our boat and then down the road,
You heard
about
this with a naked ear, Gabriel?
naked ear, absolutely. And it
Oh,
startled me
We haven't
because,
talked about your stuff, Gabriel.
well,
Todd doesn't know anything about
well,
you.
it
that's a
startled me.
whole new. That's electronic noise phenomenon. That's a whole new
Really?
kind. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I
That's
at this
that's
time I
rare.
wasn't investigating. The paranormal was something that scared me because I had a cleaning account. I had a cleaning company I owned, and I was going to a haunted bar, and I hated going there because I would have nightmares. And I could just feel it calling me, right? But I didn't know what it was. I
Yeah.
didn't pay attention to it, so I was on my way there, and it startled me because in that moment when something happens, at least in my perspective, um, your body knows what just happened wasn't supposed to be, right? You just feel it. And I remember thinking, what just happened to me? Because I was warm. I
Hmm.
don't know if I was in a different area, if something happened, if I don't know, but I heard it clear as day. I think you can hear us. Because I was walking away from my boat, I was hearing whispering, right? And I was looking around, and it's middle of winter. No one's hanging out on their boat. Everybody's all plasticized their boat up, and they're all shivering on the inside. And I heard I heard talking like a conversation, and that's why I stopped for a moment, and then I heard, I think you can hear us, and then just like
That's
that, everything went
incredible.
away. So I've heard things
Oh,
naked. I'm sure you've had
I
the same experience where you've heard things,
yes, yes. Now yours is pretty intense because you had temperature change,
right?
which I think is rare in itself as well, and it goes hand in hand with these kind of experiences. Now, the only way I can explain that, it was cold, right?
Mm-hmm.
They use all the heated molecules in that area to kind of manifest, to do whatever they're going to do, speak like they did to you.
Mhm.
And then I feel before they go back, they have to release those and back those heated molecules back, and that's why you get your hot spots. That's the only thing I could figure out after all these years, because those made no sense to me.
The interesting part is they actually made the point to think, I think he can hear us. Because
Yes.
I stopped and I was looking around, which means that
Are,
whatever
are
was there at the moment could see me
are
as
you
well.
empathic? Are you empathic or claim to be empathic at all?
I don't talk about that. Because I get people coming in wanting to do parlor tricks, I'm like $5, you know. I was
Five
just,
bucks?
well, we
You're
were just
cheap.
talking a couple weeks ago to somebody that
We'll
does true
talk
crimes,
about
right?
that.
And they were telling me the story, and I solved
Oh
it. And I was like, listen,
my
you can
gosh.
just call me up, and I'll solve the mystery for you. you know.
Well,
So
yeah, I
people
mean,
Really?
knew I had things. All of a sudden, I'm doing parlor tricks. I'm invited to parties. I don't
Whatever.
know.
You
I'm
get
being
invited to parties.
kidnapped because I'm special. I want none of that. You know.
It's actually true.
but
We were interviewing somebody like another podcast who does true crime, and literally they told him like the very minimum details, like Cliff Note, but like think of
Mhm.
Cliff Note, but like even half that, even maybe a quarter of a Cliff Note. And within like 5 minutes, he was like, "Okay, this is what happened. Next case."
Yeah, and I
And I'm
really
like, "Are
got.
you
It's like
kidding
I'm
me?"
like next. Give me something
And it
else. That was
made
an
so
easy
much
one.
sense. That was the problem.
see,
It really made so
and
much sense.
and that's cool. If you are Gabriel, that's cool. That's a
Allegedly,
cool
but I deny it 100%.
He will
because
tonight.
I feel it, because I mean, I claim to be as sensitive as a brick myself, but yet there's
Sensitive as a
times
brick.
where certain things will, huh?
Right.
They'll give you that dumbfounded kind of thought. Um, your case though is different. It's almost as if, because see, I think spirit knows when they're near an empath, when they're near
Oh,
a
absolutely.
medium, when they're
I agree.
near,
Yep.
and they're in tune. Hey, I think he can hear us.
And that's exactly kind of the thought process I had behind it.
Mhm.
When my son was first born, we lived in a town called Elmwood, Wisconsin. It's UFO capital, Wisconsin, right? They threw a third thing every year. It's a fun little town. And I came home late from work one day, and I was sitting down. My we just got a new puppy, and the baby monitor was on, and I heard my son crying. And I'm always last one home. Everybody's already sleeping, and I listened to the baby monitor for a little bit, and I thought, why is my wife not doing anything?
Oh no.
So I go walking up the stairs, and at that moment, as soon as I got to the stairs, something felt off to me. And at this time, we had a little puppy. His name was Buddy. Loved that dog, miss him dearly. He usually tried to race you up the stairs and kind of trip you in a way, right? So I'm walking
Yeah.
up, and I'm kind of waiting for him to come by me so I don't roll down the stairs. And he's at the bottom of the stairs, and he's just looking up. And this is an old house. We had a lot of interesting things happen in this house. And as I got to the second level and I was walking closer, I looked over to my right, and that's kind of where my wife and I would park our cars. And I realized at that moment, because I was tired and stuff, that my wife and our son was visiting her father, and I was alone in the house. And yet, I heard the crying from the monitor. So I stopped, and I remember looking up at the third floor where I have to go, and all of a sudden I heard, "Aren't you gonna come?" And I froze. So that night in Bearsling, being a grown ass man, I actually spent the night in the garage because I mean I just heard something try to toy me coming up.
Garage. I'd
So
be on a different state.
well, it was winter, right? I was cold, but I mean, but when stuff like that happens, your first thought is what's going on, and you're trying
Yeah.
to understand it when things like that happen.
Hmm.
So have you? I mean, what kind of experiences have you had before we get into the EVPs? But you actually hear it with your naked ear.
The biggest, the strangest one I've had was at the Sally House,
Oh,
and
we've been at the Sally House. Thank you for bringing that up. Continue, please.
that place
And
is
I know,
Yeah,
Mike,
it's
absolutely wicked.
we
yes,
need to
sir.
talk,
Um,
Todd. We need to
now,
talk.
Hmm.
what it was Deb and Tony. They hadn't been back in the house for 15 years prior to this, and I
Okay.
talked Deb into coming with us, and Tony into sitting outside and waiting this one out. But no, Tony wanted to come in. So Tony goes in. And I said, okay, you stay here in the dining room. That way we can monitor you, and you're going to be okay. Nothing's going to come in here and kick your ass. 'Cause it's so he's sitting down there, and we just completed a session in the kitchen, and we go back out there to Tony. We're talking with Tony, and he just kind of goes, ah, ah. And he reaches down and he pulls up a remote control that is melting. This remote control is melting, this
Oh,
thing.
wow. Outside.
Inside. We're
Oh, inside.
inside.
Okay.
Yeah, we're back inside the dining room. That's as far as we let him go.
Sure.
So it's melting. And this remote control that he had found underneath his thigh was the same one that they've been missing at the house for over 2 months. And it shows
Really?
up there at the house burning. So, of
underneath
course, we
his
set
thigh.
this thing on the table, document it, all of that. That was at that instance. And then Tony insists that he wants to walk. This is where I learned the true power that these things have. Um, he goes upstairs,
Mhm.
and my buddy and I are in the Sally's room.
Mhm.
He's in the master bedroom.
Mhm.
Comes out of there, and he's holding his wrist. And Deb's, something happened. She goes, okay, let's go outside. And I'm like, my goodness, Mike and I get up there, and he shows me, and there's a 2-inch cut going across his wrist almost.
Wow.
2 inches, no blood whatsoever, not a
Mhm.
drop of blood until we get outside. Then it bleeds profusely. And to me, now, I didn't hear anything per se, but boy, did I have a bad, wicked feeling that Tony was going to get hurt if he went more around that house like he did, and he did. And that's where, since then, I've gone with my gut. Now, as far as hearing an audible voice, that was at the old Quaker schoolhouse. I would constantly hear the children. Now, there was one instance. I have it what do you call those? The high definition the high 8 tapes, videotapes.
Yep. Yep.
It's on there. I'm filming through the window on the inside of this little schoolhouse. And lo and behold, this glowing ball of light comes out. And I hear, and it records, the word, hey. And then another one comes out right after it. And I hear it in my naked ear, as well as recorded on magnetic tape. It's saying, hey, Daddy. Now, this was an old one-bedroom schoolhouse where they picked them up in wagons back in the day. And it was probably when they were getting out of school or something. But that was an amazing capture. And that's something I heard with the naked ear. Plus, it was captured on tape. And I was the only one there. And I certainly don't sound like a 5-year-old child.
No, sir, you don't.
No, you really don't. You don't.
But it's amazing. It's amazing at when and where they can hit. You just don't know. You just
Yeah,
have to keep
absolutely.
trying during the day. And that's another big thing, guys. They'll say, "Oh, don't go during the day. You won't get anything." You'll get more during the day
Yep.
than you would at night, folks. It's just nighttime has that perfect backdrop, that
Yeah.
quietness to it. Everything's still. There's less traffic. But the day noise, as long as you do a baseline prior and capture that noise, you're good to go. You'll have that to go by.
Mhm.
So do it during the day. I mean, I get more results during the day than we ever would at night. Absolutely.
Well, I've had experience during the day too. I was living in South St. Paul, and this kind of segues to hearing things. And I was a little sick. I was laying on the couch, and my girlfriend at the time went to the store to get me something, and I was in and out, right? I was sick,
Hmm.
and I remember seeing this fog come from the hallway, the main bedroom down the hallway towards the living room where I was sleeping on the couch. And I remember seeing this fog, and I thought, I'm just sick, I'm seeing this fog, and all of a sudden the fog started lifting up and became shape, and then all of a sudden it was my girlfriend at the time, just standing there. But she seemed off. There was something off about the way she looked. And I remember sitting up and because there's something eerie about it, and she smiled in a weird way,
Hmm.
and when she smiled, I heard the voice, "How are you?" But her lips didn't move.
Hmm.
So, and it was clear, right? I mean, it was clear and enough to kind of jolt me. And I remember sitting back on the couch, and my cold sweat that I was feeling turned to just heat, and all of a sudden I was hot and I was scared. I was like, "Ooh, what's going on here?" And all of a sudden, just like that, bam, she was gone. And then about 5 minutes later, here she comes from the apartment door, bringing my medication. So things, and it was like in the middle of the afternoon, like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So definitely, what's there at night is there also during
Oh,
during
for
the day.
sure.
Absolutely.
You know, we know that. I mean, hauntings and those kinds of things can happen at any time,
Absolutely.
and I think there's that stigma that it happens at night and like, oh, the witching hour for sure, like that could be a
Yeah.
thing, but at the same time, like it
Yeah.
anytime.
And any time's a good time, really. Anytime you can. So free up your
Anytime.
schedules, get out there and record, folks. That's what.
What do you think about the witching hour, Todd, when it comes to sitting in the veil, if you will, which we talked a
Yeah.
lot about in this program? What's your belief in that?
My belief in that witching hour is it is factual.
Okay.
I have had so many things happen between the hours of 2 and 6 a.m.
Mm.
And me personally, I think the veil's thinner that time of night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the spirits are at their heightened point, depending on your investigation, how you're questioning them, and so forth, not provoking them by any stretch of the imagination. But I think that time, it's a special time. It's a time where the veil's at its thinnest. I think they're more wide open, and it's 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 stereotyped so bad as being a satanic time of evening or
Yeah.
just for
Mm-hmm.
witches. I mean, I know
Right.
it is called the witching hour, and I've had some strange things happen. It's a whole other talk, guys, mocking the Trinity and so forth.
Oh,
That's
yeah, absolutely.
those are cases I refer. Like, ooh, no,
I want nothing to do with this next, right?
nope. So I mean, but I've had that happen. I've had a couple entities do that. It was pretty amazing stuff. But I think that's the easiest time for them to come through to us. So if and what I find strange is the body itself. Like, no, most of us are asleep at that time of night, and I think, and I want to mix this in with this, that sleep is a very powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we leave our bodies, for crying out loud, at
Oh,
night,
absolutely.
and go into this astral plane
Mm-hmm.
and bounce around and run into these different people, these different entities that we're going to encounter or have encountered, what have you. Then we land back in our bodies, and we have no idea where the hell we've been for the past 8 hours. We just wake up and grab our coffee and go. We don't realize that we just took off out in the astral plane for a while. And I think that heightens our awareness because Raven was talking about a very powerful thing earlier, intent,
Mm-hmm.
your
Mm.
intention prior into doing one of these. I did an entire free course on it. That's how much I'm behind it. Because the better your intention going into these sessions, the better, folks. You can't sit there, go in there, sit like this. Hey, what's your name?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get that?
Yeah, no kidding.
When'd you die? Just watch the camera over there. When'd you die? Now they're starting to get upset. And there's no motivation in today's investigations anymore.
Mm-hmm.
People they feel like they're there because they have to be there. Oh, we're an investigation team. We at least have to do one of these a month in between all the photo shoots. You know, they're
Right.
losing sight of why we're here.
Absolutely.
Get out there, get those clients, go to these older buildings, go to your historical society, go to your
Yeah.
chamber of commerce, get these connections, get out there and research some of these old buildings, find some of these things. There's so much out there just waiting. not these pay to plays that you're
Right.
paying $3,000, $4,000 for.
Right.
There's things you can get set up for free right in your own neighborhood, right
Absolutely.
there, that has tons of history.
Yeah.
It's right there. That's how we found that little schoolhouse, by going and knocking on doors. Hey, do you guys know who owns this old schoolhouse? Yeah, it's Scott up the hill. Oh, he was a skeptic from hell. He didn't believe anything, Scott. He's like, yeah, you're gonna go down there, you find some ghosts in your little building down there. I
Right.
went to school down there, he says, and that was it. And we just did our thing. He did. He had a few. We did bring him some pretty compelling EVP captures from there, and it did turn his head quite a bit. He wanted to hear those things again and again and again because he didn't believe it.
Hmm.
You all put those on that tape? No, sir, we didn't. No,
Yeah.
this is from your little schoolhouse right down there. So you can share that with your client too, and which I think is very important.
Absolutely. I agree
You,
with you.
you bring up a really interesting thing though that you just like basically like you're saying like sometimes investigators just go in there and they're just like, oh, whatever, like we're just doing this thing,
Hmm.
where Gabriel and I are very much like, we are very interested in history. We're very interested in the history of the place. You know we hate the fact that I mean, there's a lot of money grabs out there. That's a true
Hmm.
story.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we really are interested in the history of the location. So I love that you
Oh,
brought that up.
yeah,
Just-
thanks. Because it goes hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, and
Absolutely.
it's something that people, a lot of them will get turned away from these client investigations. I'm not getting the right names. None of these names match up. Go to your clerk's office. Get it's called an abstract of the house. It's like ten
Hmm.
bucks. Tells you
yeah.
everybody that's lived on that property. Now you've got a list. Now you have something to go by. Keep digging. Keep digging. Look for people that have been buried on that property. So many things to look for, and the history. Without it, you go in there. You're like, "Mm, what's your name? I have no idea who you are. You're not prepared.
Right.
Yeah.
If you better prepared. Certain areas, sure, you can go in there not prepared.
Hmm.
But most of them, you kind of want to know what you're doing before you go in there. You want to
You
know
do.
who you may be talking to.
Yeah. Or they
What
just
you
say,
might
oh,
be
this was,
talking to.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or they're like, oh, there's the ghost of a person named whatever here, and this person, like, there's no history of that person.
Hmm.
So
Well,
it's just,
like the
but they're
Sally
using
house.
some,
The Sally house. There's no evidence that anybody named Sally died there. But
No.
I have the theory that all these people coming in with bringing all the attachments, if you will, with them, and they're stirring up things or leaving stuff there. Raven, and we were with chumming with the spirits. Our good friend Dave and Larry and Jeremy. We were sitting there in the upstairs bedroom in the Sally house, and you could feel that the room changed. I mean, it was
Yeah.
you could feel it in your
it was
body.
crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And I don't know about you, but at the Sally House, I think a lot of the effect was more psychological, like bad dreams before and
Oh,
after. I don't know if you've experienced those at all, Todd, at that area.
Yeah, we have had. Let's see. Uh, I investigated that. I started investigating that house back in 2003,
Sure.
and this was when Les owned it. Todd, here's the key. It was a hide key, and I was obsessed with that home because it,
Hmm.
it would pull me up from 2 in the morning, and I'd hop. Boom! I'm driving on the way to Kansas, for crying out loud. It made no sense whatsoever. What I started doing, guys, I got so obsessed with this place, I involved my family.
Okay.
I brought my wife at the time and my two kids.
Hmm.
Now they stayed in the hotel room in
Okay.
Atchison.
mm-hmm.
Now when we were all asleep one night. This was the first night after the first investigation. We were all asleep. Wake up to a hotel wall in crayon of three people playing in a yard with trees and little trees. My daughter had a little vision kind of thing. She was 4, and she drew that on the wall. And I think that place had something to do with it. My oldest daughter, I brought it home with me one time. It affected both my children. My oldest, she would listen to the radio every night, of course, like any teenager. Well, her radio got turned off. She immediately woke up and saw the little girl standing at the bottom at the foot of her bed. Well, she's crawling in with mom and dad at 13 years old,
Oh, absolutely.
scared. She's
Right?
scared to death.
Yeah.
And so I try smudging. Now,
Mm.
this is back where I'm trying to figure things out here, guys. Open all windows when smudging.
You get that heavy pot
So,
smell throughout the house. It kind of
Yes.
sticks everything.
I did
Absolutely.
it when, and I was like, my landlord probably thinks I'm smoking a ton up here. Like the whole house just
Hmm.
smells, the whole thing. I
Yep.
mean,
it does. It
to
does.
be fair,
But
he
it's
was probably like,
effective.
why
It is
did you invite me
effective.
up?
It's
He was probably thinking that. He doesn't watch the show. It's fine.
it's effective. It's effective. It does have, I mean, and I don't know if that's a psychological thing you're imprinting on the environment, or similar to a tulpa, how you create your own haunting, kind of
Yep.
speak.
Yeah.
Um, but when you cleanse the area, it seems to take the tension and negativity down. I don't know how.
Absolutely.
I don't know why, but
Well,
it does take it down. Now, when I was doing this, my youngest, who was still around 4 or 5 at the time, uh, she said, "Daddy, Daddy, you killed the doctor. You killed the doctor." I mean, I can't explain that. I can't explain. That's why I brought something from their home that, and it was something I can't explain that the family experience, and I that's when I slacked away from going there as often,
Wow.
and I
I
learned
can
how to
I
better
can relate.
close, and I learned the importance of closure when you're
Oh,
leaving an investigation.
absolutely.
Don't
Yeah.
say, "Okay, everybody, come along." You know, you gotta you
You
I
gotta
gotta
say
put
cut
in
those
those
brakes
ties and
on.
say a prayer and have everybody stay
Yeah.
where they were before you got there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, going back to
yeah.
smudging, when I meet people that have claim to have things in their house, and I go to their house and I see everything kind of disorder and everything's kind of messy. I think the same concept of smudging is kind of the same as what I'm about to speak on, and you're putting your energy into this space. Clean up your environment,
Yes.
don't have disorder. And as you're going through cleaning, you're literally putting your energy on all these services. And I think that's the same with smudging. You're putting yourself into the smoke, if you will, and it's kind of absorbing in the walls.
Hmm.
So you're putting
Yeah.
positive energy
It's exactly what it
I
is.
mean, yep, absolutely.
And it permeates everywhere. It gets
Absolutely.
into everything.
Yep.
That does, and it just whatever's negative, whatever in there that you don't want in there, it seems to just push. It just seems, I don't know. I
Yep.
don't know how it works. It's an interesting phenomenon itself,
Oh, it is.
but it's effective. I know that, and there's a lot of things in this field that are, and I think most don't understand the power that spirit does have
Hmm.
on you. You could
Yeah.
be harmed just as easily. I've seen. Oh, geez. I've seen a grown man do a complete somersault in midair in a cemetery. Something hit him in the gut so hard that he did a complete flip and flopped around, landed on his rear. You know, and that's because he's back there provoking in
Hmm.
front of a gravestone. We found out. You got to be careful out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just too much. They're too powerful. Just because you can't see them, don't think you don't need to be worried, folks.
I
Think
agree with you.
about that.
Yep.
Just because you can't see them,
Hmm.
be worried, folks.
Right.
Okay, you can't see them,
Right.
so be careful. Be careful what you wish for. Oh, jeez.
Well, going back to EVPs, I think music is a very powerful method itself.
Hmm.
I was living with an ex-girlfriend again in Missouri this time, and I was just investigating a property, and I went home to sleep, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, she woke me up, and she goes, "Do you hear that music?" And I said, "Yeah, I think it's coming from my head," because in the dream I was actually at a party, and then she goes, "That's where I was hearing it. How could I be hearing music from your head?" So
Oh, that's
I think
wild.
music is a very powerful thing, and I think what happened is I was out of body, right, and I was manifesting in the environment around me what I was experiencing, and I think that's what perception was. She was hearing music from my head, but it wasn't from my head, of course. I think it was just coming around the room because I was involved in the room. So what experiences have you had when it came to music and picking up that kind of sound?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes. Trigger objects, music. There was one in particular was an old church called Restitution Church that we did, and this music kind of triggered something that we still can't explain. This was probably '04, '05, and we were investigating this church, and we played period music. It was Victorian style music at the period of this church,
Mm-hmm.
and it was at night, of course. Now we're sitting there playing the music, and we even did a session while we had the music going in the background, just to see. So we're sitting there asking questions. All of a sudden, around the church, we hear this, and it just all the way around. It
Sure.
changes all the way. I'm thinking, okay, somebody's out there screwing around. Something's going on. Who got out? We're all still there. No one's there. Okay, and to this day, I still think, and the only way I could write this off, guys, is that it was some kind of panther or coyote or something running around that didn't like the music. Maybe the frequency was driving it nuts. I don't know. But if that was an animal, I hope it was, because if it wasn't, the only other explanation would be a banshee.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That's
Yep.
what it sounded like, a banshee. And when you have one of those going around a church, well, that church was an unsettled church.
Right. Right.
So it could be one of two things. But that's when I made that connection, Gabriel, to answer that question, is when I
Mm-hmm.
made that connection was when this banshee is going around this church or this animal, what have you, whatever it was still enough to document something strange happening. Because
Mm-hmm.
to have it go around twice and then vanish, it doesn't make any sense. An animal may go down one side of the church, but it wouldn't go around it
Mm-hmm.
and then around it again.
Yeah.
And there was an old cemetery in the back as well. It could have been anything, but it's either a banshee or a coyote. One of the two. But it was. I mean, it was enough to get your attention, and again, that tells you the power, and that could be the power, and that tells you the power of frequency too. If it was an animal,
Absolutely.
it was enough to draw that animal in and to drive that animal insane enough to run around and howl
Mm-hmm.
around a
Right.
church. But yeah, that old church, and it's places like that where you have these experiences and you learn the most. Those are the ones that end up going. They tore that down and burned it. The old
Mm-hmm.
Quaker school, they tore that down and burned it because of liability.
Right.
People are just bum rushing into these places and getting hurt and suing the homeowner, suing the landowner, and that just makes it a mess for all of us.
Sure does.
You
Yeah.
know, you've got to get permission before you go in these places. Don't just, oh, that looks spooky, and step in there.
Well, there's
Yeah.
other reasons
Find out
too.
who
I mean, if
owns
you
it.
get hurt, nobody knows where you are. I mean, there's
Right.
a lot of things.
Yeah, safety.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
so much to it. Go ahead, Raven.
no, I was just gonna say, like, I just want to, you went from hearing this sound of a horse, right? Like that was your
Which
first
is cool, by
experience.
the
You
way.
were a
That's cool.
Yeah.
skeptic who went from hearing the sound of a horse to doing what you're doing now, which is actually a lot.
Yeah.
We haven't even touched on all of the things that you are doing currently. You have a podcast. You
Oh
wrote a
my
book.
goodness,
You have
yeah.
a second book that's coming out actually on Halloween. So like you have all of these things. Like how amazing is it that you went from one thing that you heard once to just like made this into a whole thing
Yeah.
that you're doing, which is just incredible. And you seem like you are very knowledgeable and that you've really dived deep into EVPs and all of
I've
the
I've screwed up a lot.
well,
It's called the
we all
learning
have.
process, right, Todd?
That is the learning process.
Absolutely.
But I mean, how does somebody go from the, one instance to then
What a-
becoming, right?
What
To
sparked
becoming,
what sparked all of this? What a beautiful question too. I've never been
Absolutely.
asked that. That's awesome. That's a good question.
you know,
What did it was when I first started years ago and began my little quest with electronic voice phenomenon. There wasn't much information. I mean, we're talking dial up, email, chat rooms. There wasn't
sure.
anything. So I made a place called Haunted Voices years ago, and it was a podcast that ran 24 years. And then I finally put it to bed because it started talking about UFOs and Sasquatch
Hmm.
and near death experiences, everything except EVP. So I had to reboot. So I created a place with Haunted Voices, a chat room. There were lessons there for free, where people could go to learn for nothing, for absolutely nothing, because
Love
I
that.
feel this type of education should be free for all of us, so we can
Oh,
get
that's
out
very
there and
cool.
find some answers.
Yeah.
But I rebooted it, and it's now called EVP Explorations, and I can't get away from that one. Now that one, that this beautiful thing is it's a labor of love for me. There are 25, 26 now free courses up there for people to take. There's 192 registered students that have already been in there, have
Wow,
taken these
amazing.
courses. They're all free of charge. They're all text based. Yes, text based. I'm not sitting there, not on these. These are text based. The video ones are coming. Those are a little rougher to make, but those are coming. And there's free courses up there, articles. The show, we discuss all things spirit communication, electronic voice phenomenon. We try to base it on that the best we can. And that's on every Thursday night at 8 Central, 9 Eastern. A lot of fun with that show. A lot of great guests on there. Like next week, we're having an open topic discussion, EVP submission. People submit their EVP, and we share them.
That's
They,
cool.
they want them shared, so let's share them. Let's get them out there. Let's compare some of these. So we're doing that twice a month now on the show, and then the book was actually recommended by my shrink. It's 6 years ago. He says, write it. He says, you're going to feel better. Just write it. I said, I can't get this stuff out. He says, it'll get it out of your head. And he was right.
Oh, he's right. Absolutely.
Once I
Love
put
that.
the first book, they're both memoirs. It's a three-part series. I've got two of them complete. The first one talks about me being a skeptic and transferring into a believer, as to where my second one, which comes out Halloween, gets more in depth with childhood, growing up. It's got all kinds of paranormal tales in there. There's even a guide in there on how to process an EVP using Adobe Audition, a complete guide in there for
Wow.
that, a glossary, all
Right.
kinds of fun stuff for people. And that comes out on Halloween. And I tell you guys, it's, it's I've never really sat and thought about what all's been done so far until just now. A lot's been done, but it's for the greater good, I think, and I hope it helps a lot of people. That's why it's there. Is to give people just coming into this field, or even veterans, a refresher course, a good foundation to kind of get their boots back on, get back out there, get dirty again. We're
Yeah.
too clean. We're too clean these days. We got to get back out there and get dirty
You
again.
gotta get dirty. Absolutely,
Yeah.
sir.
I love that.
Yes.
What year was Haunted Voices?
That started November 2nd of 2004.
Wow.
Okay. That's
So
interesting.
you've been in the industry for a really long
A
time.
really
That's
long
awesome.
time.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
when I first started, guys, before podcasts were cool, when I first started, we had to connect with an audio server in the UK. We didn't even have any yet.
Wow.
Yeah,
that just
it's
sounds
and
really familiar to me. So that's why I asked that question.
yeah, it's been
It's
around quite a
really,
while.
mm-hmm.
You can search it on the net. There's still remnants of it. It's
Yeah.
one of those things that will never fade away. It just kind of transitioned into something else.
I would
And
have been in
there's
college
even a
and that would
keeper.
have been fast if I
Yeah.
Would have found that at some point, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So now I need to do some
It's
digging, Todd, and see if I've listened to you before, because I feel like I might have.
Yep. You very well may have. If you've ever watched or listened to a Haunted Voices show, it started out audio podcast only, and then it developed into the vodcast, like technology does.
Yep. Yeah,
And
that's
I
amazing.
still, to this day, guys, I still prefer audio. I don't know why.
I do
Still,
too, though.
still do.
We were
I
told
think there's a
we had to do video, but I went to school for radio, so I was like, I'm a audio person. Like I
I think we're
Yeah.
definitely.
we're, we're kind of wired for listening, right? I mean, back in the day, people would gather around the radio, and they would not
Yeah.
only just hear it, they would imagine it. So I think
Yes.
that's the the special sauce that's in audio is that you use your imagination and
Mhm.
you're
You paint
driven
that
to this
picture for
journey.
them.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's something that as our technology evolves, I think there's a part of us that still wants that intimacy that we picture what we're seeing, and because
Hmm.
I think it makes us feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, that makes total sense. I don't know. I've like you, Raven. I went to broadcasting school for a while, and they teach you they what they worked on the most with me, believe it or not, because I was born in Greenfield, Massachusetts. So I had
Okay.
this accent of accents back in the day. Oh, it was so thick, so bad. And that was their first project. My instructor's first project. He goes, "I'm going to take that right out of you." He says, "You're going to be a Midwestern guy next door." I'm like, okay, Midwestern guy next door, and I'll be damned, he did it.
Wow.
Because I was real heavy with packing the car and fighting and just so throwing
Hot
all
dog.
these little yeah the hot dogs. It was nuts, and to get that out and to completely learn how to speak all over again was really wild, and it's amazing what vocals can do, whether it be
Absolutely,
human or spirit vocals. It's
right.
crazy
Yes,
what either one of them can do. I love this stuff.
it's amazing.
Well, where can people find you, Todd? What's the best
Oh,
way
it's real
for people to
simple.
find you?
The best place, go to the website evpexplorations.com. Now you can contact me through there. You can download my media kit through there as well if you want to chat about anything in there. Um, there's past shows on the site. There's courses for free. There's articles up there, all kinds of things to do. And you can contact me through social media. Facebook is probably where I spend the most time. These other ones, guys, I can't figure out this TikTok thing. I don't know these talk guys.
Right.
It's the flip.
That's
By
why
the
Gabriel
time
does
I'm
it,
done,
you know?
that place, 4 hours is gone. Within, you're
Yes.
just gone.
Can you
Next
please
thing you know, you're
wait?
like, what was I posting?
Elaborate that a little bit more for Gabriel so he understands how much time and effort I put into putting things on the social.
I have no doubt, Raven. No doubt at all.
Oh
It's
yeah,
so, oh, it's like a Sunday
yeah.
afternoon's gone after I do like all of the posting I do. I tell you,
For
And
like,
it's
like
I don't know,
three
crazy, but that
seconds of
that's
somebody to
another
watch and just
full-time
thumb
job.
through, you know?
Literally another full-time job. It is.
But that's the best place to find me is Facebook these days. I'm there. Todd Michael Bates. Just search Todd Michael Bates. I think it's got the whole name up there. Yeah, that's the easiest way to find me. The book, my newest book, The Haunted Voice Life After, it comes out Halloween. Just as the first did on Halloween, so it comes out Halloween Day. That's going to be available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble both. You guys can buy them there. They're both the same price, so you, whatever, pick your fancy there. You can pre-order now over on Barnes and Noble, but you can't on Amazon. I think Amazon has, and I've heard rumor that the ebook for the new book, The Haunted Voice: The Life After, is available on Amazon right now.
Oh,
Oh, I love that.
Because
fantastic.
so that's available now, the ebook. But you guys can check out the book, read the book. Let me know what you think of it too, because it's important. I really made myself vulnerable in those books. I've really peeled through the
Sure.
layers So you guys are going to learn a lot of stuff in those books, and it's important because I do have a third, and I use feedback and so forth from the others to make those. So this third one's going to be the final, and
Okay.
I'm only on chapter two of that. There's going to be some more good stuff in there, but it's coming, so that's coming too. So there's so much fun stuff on the way.
You're a very
Can you make
well-rounded
those
individual, Todd.
audiobooks?
I love
Thank
I was
talking
you.
to
gonna
you.
say, can you make those audiobooks, Todd? Because I really like listening to you talk.
Yes,
I
very
don't
soothing. Very soothing.
I don't read and Gabriel can't read. You know what I mean?
It's
So
true.
Yeah,
It's true. It's true.
I
he
that
only
is in the
does
works.
he only
I
does
feel you,
he
Gabe. I'm,
does-
I'm telling you, man. I feel you.
Ah,
And yes, those I am working
Okay.
on that. The
Yes.
first one,
If you
the
could do
first one will
that.
be
Like you have
first.
this amazing radio voice. I mean,
Oh,
obviously, but
thank
I
you.
would
And
love to
and
I would love to have these in audio form so I can just listen to them.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
just I mean it's real time consuming to do that, but
It
it's a
really
lot
oh,
of
it
fun
is.
too. I've done it. I've tried doing it twice with the first one and screwed them both up. So it's I mean it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. uh,
Love
but
it.
yes, those will be coming out in audio form within the next 2 years.
Oh, I love that. Okay. All right.
Yeah, the next 2 years, hopefully sooner. But that's I had to shoot high there because it's
All right,
Absolutely.
fine.
the heads.
Maybe I'll read, but only because I like you. Okay. I will
Yeah, it'll be fun. I promise.
be the
It'll be
first
good.
book that comes up in like 20 years or whatever. It's fine.
Look, it's a quick read. The good thing
Okay.
about both those books, they're quick reads, and from what I've heard, of course, I gave it to Sherry, my better half, and she handed it back to me 3 hours later in tears.
Oh,
so
really?
she so she read it in 3 hours. So it
Wow.
doesn't take too long to read, and it does
Okay.
kind of it helps you out. So give it a shot, Raven. You got this.
Okay. I got this. I got this. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah.
I appreciate
You
all
bet.
your.
Audiobook coming soon, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun ride, guys. Fun ride.
That's great.
Todd, you have to come back and do this again with us, man.
Yeah,
I
you
love
Are
do.
you
talking to
kidding me?
you. You have a
Anytime.
wonderful
You
sense
two
of
are
humor.
amazing hosts.
Oh,
Oh,
and
thank
you're
you.
amazing
Thank
to
you.
talk to. We can just
Yes.
listen to you all day. Like we just like we're pretty much we're
Oh,
like, here, Todd. We
Yeah.
just
Here
let
you
you
go.
take over.
Just talk. We'll just
Here,
sit
you
back
take
here.
over.
I love
Just
it.
we're just gonna
Yeah.
sit back and you
I
talk to
like it.
us.
we'll
Tell
have
us a nice
fun.
thing. It's fine.
Yeah, you both of you guys are amazing hosts. You're a lot of fun.
Oh.
You made me feel
Thank
really
you.
comfortable. I believe it or not, I get nervous about these damn things.
Oh.
I really do. And you guys made me feel comfortable, and I
Oh, well,
appreciate
we're
that.
very happy to have that. But honestly, you have to come back and do this again with us. We're heading on that
Anytime.
hour mark, so most people start checking out. So we want to make sure that we give people the time to get their sleep. It's something I don't enjoy, unfortunately, but people do. So we
Yeah.
definitely should sleep. Well, as the night settles, I can't help but think back to that simple recording, that quiet farmhouse that whispered, "Why am I still here?" Maybe that's why EVPs truly is not proof of the supernatural, but not even communication as we understand it, but a reminder that emotion, memory, energy, they never really leave. They echo. They resonate in the walls, the wires, and perhaps within us. And for those of us who chase the truth in the dark, we learn one thing very quickly: silence is never really silent. Tonight, we've had the privilege, the absolute privilege, of exploring those echoes with a true master of the craft, Todd Bates. Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge, your experience, and your passion for uncovering the science and soul behind the electric voice phenomenon. Your work reminds us that curiosity is not a weakness, it's an invitation to wonder, sir. Thank you so much. And
Oh,
to my
absolutely.
ever present partner, Raven Knight, thank you as always for walking this path with me. And to you, our listeners across the dark corners of the world, whether you're sitting in your living room, your car, or in a room that feels just a little too quiet right now, thank you for listening, watching, and believing. Any last thoughts, Raven?
All I have to say is, Todd, you've been amazing. I really hope that
Absolutely.
everybody goes and
Hmm.
checks out
Thank you.
everything that you have to offer because you do have a lot to offer. Go get the book, which comes out on Halloween. Definitely do that. Check out the free courses. I'm gonna go do that. Actually, I can do those. I'll do that definitely.
Thank you.
But you've been amazing. So thank you so much for being on our show, and we would love to have you back. So we'll make sure that we do
Anytime.
that. I I would love to talk to you some more.
Anytime.
Awesome.
Well, if you don't mind hanging out as we close out,
Yeah.
Todd, we'd like to talk to you a little bit more. So stay connected with us at darkwoodsparanormal.com and follow our journey across Facebook, TikTok, YouTube for the more stories from the edge of reality. Until next time, my friends, stay aware, stay curious, and most of all, do stay safe out there. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.